Now the news in full. Augusta Governor Prince Abeokuta has disclosed his plans by his administration to reactivate the state-owned bulk purchase program under its Gateway Trading Company. Prince Abeokuta made this known during an interview in Abeokuta after a private visit to former President Olusegun Obasanjo on the recent initiatives rolled out to cushion the effect of deregulation in the oil sector. Abeokuta noted that the bulk purchase program would allow the state government to purchase food items at pre-deregulation prices, adding that the introduction of an energy transition plan, which was conceived some months back by his administration, would also allow the state to migrate from depending on premium motor spirit, PMS, or diesel to power public transportation by using compressed natural gas, CNG.
Sometime this week, we will be unveiling the first set of vehicles that will be converted from using diesel to using CNG. That process started quite some months back, and we're unveiling those vehicles. The first set of vehicles that we'll be unveiling are the state-owned mass transit buses, the Ashok Leyland buses, and of course the staff buses. And then we're now going to be converting our mini buses that are owned, by different individuals in the state. Our plan is to convert these buses at our expense because of the financial requirement that may make it difficult for owners of public mass transit buses to do that conversion. So the state will convert those buses at our expense, and that itself is part of us, our intervention package to ameliorate, the cost of transportation. So you see that in the next few months, we would have converted all our mass transit buses to depend on CNG. And from our calculations, the cost of transportation would even be far less than it was before deregulation.
That civil servants in the state have been asked to maintain about 80% presence in their various offices, adding that an infrastructure initiative, among others, will be introduced by his administration to ameliorate the effects of the fuel subsidy removal.
Infrastructure initiatives have asked that each local government, in concert with leaders in that locality, community leaders, market women, religious bodies, identify 3 roads in each local government for us to immediately begin to either reconstruct, repair, or maintain. We have what we call the agric and food palliatives as well, which basically is targeted at supporting our farmers so that we can boost food production. We'll be supplying our farmers with fertilizers at greatly subsidized prices. In terms of food palliatives, we're now going to reactivate our bulk purchase program under the Gateway Trading, and through different channels and warehouses in different parts of the state, we'll be selling food items, grains, rice, that we'll be purchasing from the CBN at pre-deregulation prices.
For civil servants and pensioners should be seen as transport allowance to cushion the effects of the hiking cost of transporting workers to work, while commending President Bola Tinubu for putting an end to the fuel subsidy regime in the country, which had taken about 4 trillion naira from the coffers of the federal government. Coming from Ogun State, the Ogun State government has announced a number of palliative measures to cushion the effect of removal of fuel subsidy on the well-being of people of the state. Top on the list of the measures is a cash palliative of 10,000 naira for each public servant, including pensioners, for a period of 3 months in the first instance, with effect from July 2023. In a statement signed by the Secretary to the State Government, Tokunbo Talabi, approval of hazard allowance for all health and medical personnel in the state was also made, as well as approval of peculiar allowance for public servants in the state. There is also immediate release of letters of promotion in respect of the 2021 and 2022 payments of March and April 2023 leave bonuses for public servants in the state and immediate cash backing for the quarterly payment of gratuities to pensioners. Ministries, departments, and agencies are also to work out modalities of ensuring that 20% of the staff strength are off duty daily, as well as commencement of food items to the vulnerable. Also, the Gateway Trading Company has been mandated to establish food distribution outlets across the state and must sell the items at the rate obtainable in the market before removal of fuel subsidy. The state is also establishing a commodity exchange to ensure optimization of current and future investment in the agro-allied sector of the economy, in line with President Tinubu's war on food insecurity. Distribution of fertilizers and other farm inputs to farmers at subsidized and controlled prices, and full implementation of the administration's energy transition strategy with the launch of electric motorbikes and tricycles all over the state. In addition to this is the commencement of conversion of state mass transit buses to CNG, including staff buses and current public transportation buses in circulation, to reduce cost of transportation by charging rates comparable to what obtained before deregulation. The first sets are in the final stages and will be introduced to the roads in a matter of days, according to the state government. It adds that government will also be acquiring additional new CNG buses to ease transportation in the state, charging fares comparable to what obtained before the first subsidy removal, with immediate road infrastructure intervention in all local governments, working with community development associations and community leaders who are to submit 3 routes that require immediate intervention. The state government will also support micro, small, and medium enterprises through special schemes to boost production capacity and employment generation, the statement concluded. Meanwhile, labor leaders in Ogun State have commended the post-fuel subsidy removal palliative action plans of the Ogun State government, which are aimed at cushioning its toll on the populace. Bumi Adegun in those reports takes a look at the 14 nuggets released by government to provide stopgap measures for workers, pensioners, and the general public. His report.
The voice of the people is the voice of reason, and a listening leader should not jettison such. This, the All Progressives Congress at all levels of government is trying to do. They are ready to cushion the effect of the subsidy removal, which has raised the price of liter of fuel with attendant ripple effect on cost of living. The federal government recently made a move to seek 500 billion naira supplementary budget for palliatives.
The request has become necessary in order to, among other things, source for funds necessary to provide palliatives to mitigate the effect of the recent removal of fuel subsidy on Nigerians.
Few days ago, under the aegis of National Economic Council, a meeting chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima with governors of the 36 states of the Federation, the Director General of the Nigerian Governors Forum, as well as stakeholders from the World Bank and other agencies of government, considered integrity tests on state social registers, cash transfers, which will be done via state social registers subject to state peculiarities, among other palliative measures.
We also talked about ensuring that we paid our public servants outstanding liabilities, whichever way, if it's their pension, if it's their gratuities, if it's their leave bonuses, and so on and so forth. And that is a front burner item because we believe that this would immediately bring succor to our people.
As one of the federating units, Ogun State government has finally rolled out stopgap measures by releasing 13 nuggets that would take care of public servants, pensioners, and the general public as Nigerians cope with the new economic reality, from cash palliative of 10,000 naira each for public servants, hazard allowance for health workers, peculiar allowance for public servants. Labor leaders in Ogun State commended the state government for this quick intervention.
Intervention on fuel subsidy removal is enormous. It is on the wall, and the circular has been sent to individual treat center, including GNC. Well, it has been long awaited, and we really want to appreciate His Excellency for this very beautiful and kind gesture extended to the workforce of our state.
And with this palliative, we have identified that the governor is a very good governor, and he meant well for the workers in the state.
Other icing on the cake include the release of promotion letters for 2021 and 2022, payment of March and April 2023 leave bonuses, immediate cash backing for the quarterly payment of gratuities of pensioners, and commencement of food palliatives to the vulnerable.
This is for our members to put in the best, and it is uncommon gift from the governor. Within the period of 5 years, or 4.5 years as it were, we had this promotion for 4 good years.
Secretary to the Ogun State Government, Mr. Tokunbo Talabi, while speaking with OGTV News, said implementation would never be a problem, as Governor Dapo Abiodun painstakingly highlighted and approved the 13 nuggets, as it will cushion the effect of subsidy removal on all and sundry, pending the federal government's final plan.
It takes into consideration everybody, whether you are in active service, whether you are retired, whether you are in specialized services like medical, whether you are in general services like admin, people on the streets, people in the rural areas. We made sure that there is something for everybody. So when we said that we're going to distribute palliatives like food and all that, we already know people, and we have people, social investment officers, SIOs, that we have employed to go into the communities, tell us what the people are doing, tell us what they are saying. Let us have a first feel of how they are feeling, so that we can create a proper measure in terms of palliative. We know what their needs are. And if you look at this administration, we just don't do anything, and it is part of our inclusiveness policy. We ask you, what do you want at this time?
Mr. Talabi, while speaking on other nuggets, which include road infrastructure intervention, conversion of state mass transit buses to CNG, launch of electric tricycles, motorbikes, as well as distribution of fertilizers to farmers, said the government is sincere and feel the pains of the people at this crucial time.
When you trust your government to do the right thing, there will be less friction. When the government trusts you to do the right thing, there will be less friction. I think that the element of trust and whatever is brought in. If you remember that when this palliative issue came up, His Excellency took an initiative by himself and invited Labour and said, look, Labour, I know this thing is going to impact on you, irrespective of what the federal is doing. Let's sit down and look at how we can make life easy for everybody.
The food palliatives to the vulnerable will include rice, gari, beans, and maize, while the Gateway Trading Company has been mandated to establish food distribution outlets across the state and must sell the items at the rate obtainable in the market before removal of fuel subsidy. Bumi Adigun, OGTV News.
A whopping sum of 5,626,342,230 naira NICABO has been shared between the 20 local governments as proceeds from the Federation account in Ogun State for the month of July. The Accountant General of the state, Babatunde Aregbesola, made the disclosure during the July edition of Joint Account and Allocation Committee meeting held in Abeokuta. Aregbesola said the net allocation was 72% higher than the previous month of May. Fowora Adesonwu reports.
Edition of the Joint Accounts and Allocation Committee, Ogun State, was presided over by the State Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Dr. Rotimiolu Akilesi. Dr. Akilesi urged the council executives to continue to complement the efforts of the Ogun State government at the grassroots.
But the major thing is that we must make sure that we are moving forward, that we are making progress in this state, and by the grace of God, we will make progress.
Addressing the meeting, the Accountant General of Ogun State, Mr. Babatunde Aregbesola, explained in details the cash flow from the Federation account.
This is why we have it in the report for this month, because it has come before modernity. Then we have another 47.3 million that this month. Forest equalization, that is not available this month. For last month it was 82.3, and for other sources of revenue, we have 3.4 million we didn't have anything last month. And for the crude, because the treasury crude or another form of augmentation, we have 26.1 million naira. We didn't have that for last month too.
The meeting provided conversation between the stakeholders on various developmental issues concerning their areas of jurisdiction. Adefowora Adesanwo, OGTV News.
And still to come in the news, continued the inaugural speech with a call on the state government to implement more programs and projects with direct impact on their constituents. Honorable Adekunle Lawal, representing Ogun Waterside State Constituency, and his Ijebu East counterpart, Honorable Waliu Owode, made the appeal in the inaugural speeches during the plenary presided over by the Speaker, Right Honorable Lakunle Oluomo, at the Assembly's Complex, Ukimoson, Abeokuta. Correspondent Kola Wodlio shall cover the plenary. Details are in this package.
Member representing Ogun Waterside State Constituency, Honorable Adekunle Lawal, and his Ijebu East counterpart, Honorable Wasiu Owode, in their inaugural speeches during the plenary listed areas that require immediate government's attention to include education, security, road construction, and rehabilitation, infrastructure upgrade, including Gateway Industrial and Petrogas Institute, ONI, and the restoration of electricity to some of the communities in their constituencies. They added that there was need to resuscitate the moribund Gateway paper mill at Iwokmi, promote sports through the organization of different tournaments to discover talent with a view to further engaging the youth to be more productive. The lawmakers equally canvassed for the grading and rehabilitation of rural roads, agricultural development with soft loans to farmers to boost food production and create employment, stressing the need for the development of the OKLNG and Olokola Free Trade Zone at Olokola for economic prosperity of the state.
I also promise to do the best of my ability to be the worthy members of this honorable house.
Japanese presidency have abandoned political structures which has been used as criminal hideouts and illegal activities. I will not think those abandoned buildings can be converted to vocational skill centers, polytechnics, universities, annexes, and what have you.
Speaker, in his reaction, commended the lawmakers for their robust presentations, adding that the state government will definitely do the needful.
I'm happy to note that some of the issues have been receiving attention. Maybe you don't know, the government said that attention is going to be on the Olokola this time around. And I'm even happy to tell you that I noticed the government has started doing something else.
The duo equally sought for cordial relationship among members irrespective of political affiliations, while assuring of more collaboration with other arms of government to fast-track socio-economic development of the state. They promised to present people-oriented bills for the benefit of their constituencies and, by extension, the state.
Still on legislative matters, the State House of Assembly has confirmed the nomination of the State Governor, Prince Abeokuta, for the Judicial Service Commission. Mrs. Oyikonsola Adebimpe Cole, affirming her eligibility and suitability, to assume office as a member of the Commission. The confirmation followed the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole House, chaired by the Speaker, Olakunle Oluomo, presented by his deputy, Bolanle Ajayi. Correspondent Kolawole Osho covered the plenary. Details, once again, are in this package.
Following the reading and adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole House, chaired by the Speaker, Olakunle Oluomo, and presented by his deputy, Honorable Bolanle Ajayi, who also moved the motion for its adoption and seconded by Honorable Damilare Bello, the confirmation of the nominee for Judicial Service Commission, Mrs. Oyinkansola Adebimpe Cole, was thereafter done through a motion moved by the Majority Leader, Yusuf Sherif, seconded by Honorable Lawal Adekunle, and supported by other lawmakers through a voice vote. According to the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Bolanle Ajayi, the profile and credentials of the nominee were thoroughly and carefully scrutinized by honorable members. Thereafter, the nominee was interviewed by members and found the nominee, Mrs. Oyinkansola Cole, eligible and suitable to assume office as a member of the Judicial Service Commission in Ogun State.
The committee therefore recommended that the nomination of Mrs. Cole Oyinkansola Adebimpe for appointment as a member of the Judicial Service Commission in the state be approved by the House. Having found her eligible and suitable to hold the office in line with the provisions of Section 198 of the 99 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as ordered.
Those who support that the nominee of the governor for the state Judicial Service Commission is confirmed as moved. Say aye. Those against say nay. The high service. Mr. Clark, please do the needful.
In another development, Speaker Oluomo directed the State Ministry of Environment as well as Works and Infrastructure to immediately carry out a feasibility measure that will aid the mobility of residents in Ayede Ayila in Ogun Waterside State Constituency who were affected by flood in the last 2 months. This was just as he directed that machineries be set in motion to alleviate the plight of fish farmers and producers of fingerlings on the over 200 hectares of land covering Alari, Agoshasha, Oniro.
So on the issue of dredging of rivers, drainage, etc., let's have the Swiss political like challenge in the area. Let us collate it. We will now engage the Ministry of Environment. We'll talk to government to give them money to repair it properly so that it can be a scheme fee.
The Speaker's submission was sequel to the report of a member representing Ogun Waterside State Constituency, Honorable Samsidin Lawal, his Ipokia Idiroko, and Abeokuta South 2 counterparts, BC Oyedele and Ayodele Wasiu, who spoke under personal explanations, narrating the ordeal of their constituents following the perennial flooding which had affected their business operations. They requested that the state ministries of Works and Infrastructure as well as Environment mobilize the swamp bogie excavator for the dredging of the streams to address the challenge in the affected communities.
Away from that now, the paucity of prosecution witnesses in the March 18 Ogun Governorship Election Petition Tribunal is a signal that the prosecutor is running out steam. These were the words of the legal teams of respondents at the Tuesday sitting held at the Magistrate Court Ishabo, Abeokuta. Matthew Showumi has the details.
Appearing fully prepared for the tribunal sitting in what is expected to be another day of legal fireworks, going by the promise of the legal team of the prosecutor to present more witnesses for cross-examination. Olamilekan Ayinde, who claimed that he was not a PDP member, but reported the incident that happened on the day of the election to the ward chairman of the party, and equally wrote his statements in PDP office, was the only witness called for the day, as the issue of similarities and omissions in the statements continued to resonate in the cross-examination. The prosecution counsel then called for the adjournment to the next day on the ground that the vehicle conveying the remaining 2 witnesses for the day broke down on their way to the court, and equally notified the court of the decision to present expert witness on the adjourned day.
They are losing steam. At the beginning of the trial, you will recall they were calling 10 witnesses. But with the quality of cross-examination that the respondent counsel have mustered, I think it will be very foolhardy for any reasonable lawyer for a petitioner to continue to bring witnesses who come to repeat what others have, or to chorus, as lawyer will say, what others have said earlier. So I think it's a wise decision that they are winding down because it doesn't serve anybody's interest to bring worthless witnesses to the law court.
They have an expert report, somebody coming to testify, to give expert testimony, to testify on some aspects of the election.
To us, it portends that they are running out of steam. That's our interpretation of it, and we are fully prepared. Because you can see that many of the witnesses have been badly dented under cross-examination. So I think they are reassessing themselves.
The sitting was thereafter adjourned till Wednesday, July 26th. Matthew Showomi, OGTV News.
The suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, has been rearrested by the Department of State Service, DSS, at the premises of the Federal High Court, Lagos. Recall that DSS earlier in the day arraigned Emefiele on a 2-count charge of illegal possession of firearms. Trial Judge Justice Nicholas Owebo had granted Emefiele bail in the sum of 20 million naira and a surety in like sum. The judge had also signed a warrant for his remand at Ikoyi Prison, Lagos, pending when he perfects his bail, but an earlier attempt by prison officials to take Emefiele into custody as ordered by the court led to the leader of the prison officials being manhandled by DSS operatives. Moments later, the prison officials left the court, following the intervention of perhaps an order from above. The National Industrial Court on Tuesday affirmed the recognition of the Congress of Nigerian University Academics and the National Association of Medical and Dental Academics as trade unions. The claimants in the suit, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, dragged the Minister of Labour and Employment, the Registrar, Trade Union, CONWA, and NAMDA as first, second, third, and fourth defendants, respectively, before the NIC. Delivering judgment, Justice Benedict Kaib held that in line with the International Labour Organization Act, there can be more than one trade union within an employment. In addition, the judge stated that contrary to the claimant's submission, that Section 3, Subsection 2 of the Trade Union Act made the first and second defendants incompetent to register CONWA and NAMDA to coexist and carry out the same functions in the universities as ASU. Kaib said that the section does not encourage the monopoly of trade unions, but rather encourages the existence of other trade unions. Dignitaries and family members have described Alhaji Nuruddin Bolarinwa Oyedele as an icon, a man of many virtues who is worthy of emulation. The encomiums came on the heels of his 70th birthday celebration. Margaret Okunlola reports that the celebrant, Alhaji Nuruddin Bolarinwa Oyedele, on his part, was grateful to God for celebrating in good health. A report.
It was glitz and glamour as several dignitaries, friends and family members graced the 70th birthday celebration of a former permanent secretary in the Ogun State Governor's office, a religious man and a father to all he come in contact with, Alhaji Nuruddin Bolarinwa Oyedele. Being an illustrious son of Egba land, the event was graced by Alake and paramount ruler of Egba land, Oba Adedotun Aremugbadebo, represented by Aro Egba, Chief Yinka Kufile, and alongside other notable dignitaries present, they showered encomiums on the celebrants.
When we look back and see good people coming behind, it gives us a tremendous joy in seeing people like you as a role model for the younger ones.
During our working together, I've seen honesty and truthfulness in him. And since then, we have bonded together.
A thoroughbred administrator, a business guru, a straightforward man, very hardworking, a complete gentleman.
Family members described the celebrant as a man of worthy character, a loving and caring father.
He's someone who's instilled so much discipline in me. And growing up and I've become a mother, I've come to realize the importance of having discipline. And that's what has transcended generations about him.
Being steadfast, being punctual, and staying true to what you believe. I'll say those three things are the key things that have shaped me in life.
A caring father, an educationist, and a disciplined by excellence.
The elected celebrant, Alhaji Nuruddin Bolarinwa Oyedele, said he is grateful for celebrating his 70th year on earth in good health.
70 years is just a number. Whatever thing you are doing, please do it very well. All the young ones, to be dedicated, to be straightforward, to be honest, and to follow the right path.
Prayer sessions were held for the celebrant and his family members. As gift items rolled in from various groups and societies the celebrant belonged to. Margaret Okunlola, OGTV News.
Activities marking the final burial rites of former Chief of General Staff, Federal Republic of Nigeria, late Lieutenant General Donaldson Oladipo Dia, continue with a procession of his remains at the United African Methodist Evangelical Church, Cathedral, Abule Jesha, Yoba, Lagos, on Tuesday, July 25th, 2023. According to a burial program released by the Ogun State government, lying in state we hold at his residence, 31 Adekunle Fajoyewe, GRA, Ikeja, Lagos, to be followed on Wednesday, July 26th, with a commendation service slated for Thursday, 27th July at Abule Jesha, Yoba, Lagos. Christian wake for the deceased holds on Friday, 28th July in Odogbulu, while on Saturday, 29th July, funeral service will hold at the Cathedral of St. Paul's Anglican Church, Odogbulu. Parade of honor, interment, outing, and Thanksgiving service all are slated to hold at Odogbulu, Ogun State. Also, burial arrangement for Pa Babatunde Akonbi Shangokunle, who slept in the Lord on the 24th May 2023, is as follows. Wednesday, 26th July 2023, with a service of songs and commendation service at the Erie Townsend Hall, St. Peter's Cathedral, Ake, Abeokuta, starting at 4 in the evening. This will be followed by lying in state on Thursday, 27th July 2023, at his residence, Shodeke Road, near Fatbim's house, Ibara Housing Estate, Abeokuta, starting at 9 in the morning, while Christian wake holds same day at his Okeodon residence along Idiroko Road, Yewa South Local Government, at 5 in the evening. Funeral service for the deceased holds on Friday at St. James Anglican Church, Okeodon, Yewa South Local Government, beginning from 10 in the morning, to be followed by interment at the church cemetery. Pa Babatunde Akonbi Shangokunle was a one-time commissioner for health in Ogun State. Aged 91, Pa Babatunde Akonbi Shangokunle is survived by wife, Mrs. Kemi Shangokunle, former Assistant General Manager of Ogun State Television, Abeokuta, children and grandchildren. Adebola Oshomoji standing by for business news. Don't go away.
You're welcome to the business segment of the news. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria has voted to increase the benchmark interest rate by 25 basis points to 18.75%. The acting CBN Governor Fashodun Shonobi disclosed this while reading the communique of the 4th NPC meeting of the year on Tuesday. He said, in summary, the MPR voted to raise the policy rate by 25 basis points from 18.5 to 18.75%. Addressing journalists at the end of the two-day meeting in Abuja, Mr. Shonobi said the committee voted to adjust the asymmetric corridor at plus 100 and minus 300 basis points around the MPR. The CBN started its monetary policy tightening cycle in May 2022, with its benchmark interest rate rising from 11.5% to 18.5% in May this year. Travelers are expressing their disappointment and frustrations as airfares continue to skyrocket, making it increasingly difficult for individuals to embark on their desired trips. The rising cost coupled with economic uncertainties have left many passengers in a state of dismay. About 2 weeks after President Bola Tinubu promised to unify the nation's multiple exchange rate, the Apex Bank decided to float the Naira at the investors and exporters window of the foreign exchange market. Since then, the Naira had fallen from 771 per dollar to 867 Naira per dollar. With this development, Nigerians, particularly intending international students hoping to resume school in September, had been greatly impacted by the unpredictable fluctuations in foreign exchange rate. The prices of air tickets had skyrocketed, making it increasingly difficult for Nigerians to travel, especially when compared to neighboring countries such as Benin and Ghana, where airfares are notably cheaper. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has said point-of-sale operators caught for price-fixing risk 3-month jail term. This is as is issued a cease and desist order to POS operators from conduct that constitute an infringement of the law. POS operators under the umbrella of the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents Nigeria fixed new prices for POS transactions on July 17. According to the Commission, POS operators that are found in violation of the order will pay 10 million naira for corporate entities and 1 million naira or a person and prison sentence of up to 3 months for individuals. The outstanding 1.3 trillion naira debt of the federal government to the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has nothing to do with the payment of dividend to the government, the NNPCL said. In June this year, the National Oil Company revealed that it was expecting a refund of about 1.3 trillion naira from the Federation account as debt by the federal government. It disclosed this when the interagency committee constituted by President Bola Tinubu was set to commence sitting to resolve the lingering debt roll. The federal government had accused the NNPCL of indebtedness to the tune of about 2.8 trillion naira, but the oil company had claimed that the federal government should first pay back almost 4.1 trillion naira, which was its unsettled outstanding claims for subsidy payment on petroleum product import, supplies and distribution on behalf of the government. The outstanding 1.3 trillion naira debt of the federal government to the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has nothing to do with the payment of dividend to the government, the NNPCL said. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Rep. Tajuddin Abbas, has inaugurated an ad hoc committee to investigate the alleged $9.05 billion revenue loss from gas flaring in the last decade in Nigeria. Abbas at the inauguration of the House Ad hoc Committee on Gas Flaring on Monday charged the committee to get to the root causes of gas flaring and make recommendations to end the menace. It said that the probe is an acknowledgement of the urgent need to understand and mitigate the environmental, social, and economic impacts of this practice. It said that as a major contributor to climate change and environmental hazard, gas flaring has direct and indirect impact on soil, water, and wildlife. Days after the management of the Nigerian Port Authority and the Lagos State government commenced the clearing of shanties along the port's access road, the NPA has said there is an increase in exploitation along the access road of the Lagos and Tinkan Island port complexes. This was contained in a statement on Tuesday by NPA. The authority had between July 16 and 18 rid the port corridor of shanties and illegal structures which harbored criminal element that perpetrated this act of extortion. The managing director of NPA, Mohammed Bello Koko, during the clearing of the shanties, lamented that this act of extortion and allied illegalities are injurious to trade facilitation. And that was business segment of the news. Over to Bukola for the rest of our bulletin.